After the long haul to the Spanish track of Zuera, the wonderful track of Sarno is hosting the third round of the WSK Euro Series. The importance of this round is paramount, since it could decide who the champions of the different categories will be, even before the fourth and last match of the series is concluded. Among the young drivers of the Mini 60 series, the air is thick with expectation, since this race will be fundamental for the champion title of the 2013 season. The general rankings place the Spaniard Eliseo Martinez among the favorites, but a victory from Abdul Ghaffar could still be mathematically possible. The Malaysian is second, 45 points away from Martinez. The third position is occupied by the Indian Kushmaini, immediately before the Italian Leonardo Marsiglia. It will surely be an exciting and engaging challenge. The winner of the KF Junior Series could be known before expected due to a 96 points difference between the current leader, the Englishman Lando Norris, and the fellow countryman Daniel Tickton. The third man in the rankings is Alessio Lorandi, 10 points behind them. The exquisite balance of the KF series leads to an ongoing duel between the French Boccolacci, the Englishman Ben Barnicot, the Italian Felice Etienne, the Polish Karol Bast, and the French Armand Converse. All of them are within 46 points one from another, striking a balance which will only be broken when one of the talents will be able to overwhelm resistance of other drivers. The KZ2 is as usual reserved to the veteran drivers. The Italian Marco Zanchetta seems to be the favorite for the championship title. The official Maranello racing driver will have to beat his main opponent Riccardo Nigro, racing for Danilo Rossi's team. Nigro has shown great determination and possibilities to get to the top. The rankings classified Exec Midela as the only possible opponent to the Italian duo. He has shown consistency all throughout the series. Regarding the KZ1, the category where the most famous drivers race, we can find the Dutch Max Verstappen, who, round after round, is rightly placed in first position, with a wide gap from his direct opponent, the Englishman Benjamin Hanley. It is noteworthy, though, that doubts exist regarding the real chances of the Dutch driver for this round. In fact, during the last event on the SARNO track for the WSK Master Series, the pilot showed a loss of precision and concentration, as if the features of the track were not completely to his liking. In a last desperate assault, the Englishman Benjamin Hanley and the Dutchman Joeri Pax will try to topple Verstappen's dominion. The category is so unpredictable and rich with talent that Ardigot, Leclerc and Federer might as well be part for the final podium. During the second round of the WSK Master Series last week, we talked about the track and its 1700 meters of challenging asphalt. For this occasion, we decided to show some of the impressive panoramas which surround the beautiful track of Sarno. One can find signs of and to the Euro Series event, to its champions and its spectacular races. The same awesomeness can be found in the roads which lead upwards towards Mount Vesuvio, the sleeping volcano underneath Naples. Some beautiful landscapes can be contemplated from Vesuvio's slopes. The panorama is so breathtaking that in 1997 Vesuvio was picked by UNESCO among the world protected wildlife areas in the biosphere. In 2007, the volcano was nominated among the world's 7 natural sites, which would constitute the 7 wonders of the world. Nonetheless, Vesuvio is only a sleeping giant and has been inactive from 1944. The likelihood of an explosive event in the future, though, are high, and the massive presence of housing on its slopes places 700,000 people in danger. We skip 15 clicks in a second and we are back on the track, where the free trials have just finished and each and every one of the 3rd Euro Series event drivers are honing their weapons and padding their armors. The Mini 60 drivers are to open the hostilities, and the first surprise of the weekend immediately pops out. The Italian Francesco Pagano is able to snatch up the last pole position of the season. Driving his top kart, Pagano is able to open a gap on the Greek Konstantinos and the Indian Maini. Eliseo Martinez is 4th, the Malaysian Abdul Ghaffar 9th, and Leonardo Marsiglia is only capable of recording the 19th time. The Super Pole of the KF Junior collects the 12 best drivers and piles them up in a competition for the pole position. The challenge is so hot that at the end only 3 milliseconds divide the Canadian Parker Thompson on Energy Corse and the Italian Remigio Garofano on Top Kart. 50 milliseconds away, Leonardo Pulcini comes in 3rd and Alessio Lorandi closes his performance 85 thousandths of seconds after Thompson. Something worth mentioning is that all of the 12 drivers' chronos are in a range of 500 milliseconds. This goes to prove the extreme focus and skill that all of the drivers show. The vivid and warm weather seems to bode well for the rest of the pilots, who are able to race their Super Pole such that the time spent between the 1st and the 12th position was only 390 milliseconds. The Croatian Martin Kodric had the best time, while Boccolaci is only 4 milliseconds away behind. The Russian Romanov is 41 milliseconds away. The fastest drivers for the KZ2 categories are Italians, and they occupy positions from 1 to 7. The pole is conquered by Riccardo Nigro, who is able to obtain better times than Marco Zanchetta and Alessio Mentetti, 2nd and 3rd respectively. The last drivers are the ones from KZ1. They closed their qualification with the English Benjamin Hanley on top, followed immediately after by the Czech Patrick Hayek on a Praga kart and the Dutch Bas Lammers on Intrepid. The first Italian in the rankings is Paolo De Conto, 4th, on a Birel. During the 3 qualification rounds on the Mini 60, the Indian Kush Maini outperformed everyone, showing his tip-top shape and a great amazing relationship with his kart. Right behind him, the Spaniard Eliseo Martinez pushes hard in an effort to obtain the title of the season. Among the Italian drivers, Lorenzo Colombo's performance on an Emilia kart is worth mentioning. In the KF Junior qualifications, the qualification bouts highlight the presence of Leonardo Pulcini, who drove his kart flawlessly. The English Daniel Ticktum and Lando Norris and the Russians Nikita Sitnikov and Robert Schwarzman were also top-notch performances. After the victory in the Super Pole, the Croatian Martin Kodric is able to keep the level of competitiveness to the highest standards by winning 3 of the 4 bouts he takes part in. During both pre-final and final, the Croatian will have to deal with dangerous opponents like Dorian Boccolacci, the Italian Felice Tiene, the Spaniard Pedro Hiltbrand, and the Polish Karol Baz. The performances by Armand Converse, Lance Stroll and Ben Barnico are slightly disappointing. In the KZ2, Riccardo Nigro is the one who is able to win both of the qualification bouts and is now among the favorites for the podium. The Italian had to hack through the ranks of his opponents, which often were new and unexpected adversaries, such as Luigi Di Proto and Alessandro Manetti. The 2 qualification bouts for KZ1 are dominated by 3 names: the English Benjamin Hanley, the Dutch Bas Lammers, and the Italian Paolo De Conto. The ringleader Max Verstappen somehow stumbles, but he manages to keep his position among the first. The ringleader Max Verstappen somehow stumbles, but he manages to keep his position among the first. The first of the 2 KZ2 finals is raced on Saturday. Nigro is the first on the grid, flanked by the Rosso Corsa driver Luigi Di Proto. The second line is occupied by Alessandro Manetti and Jan Mederla. At the start, Di Proto storms the asphalt and snatches the first position. In his wake, Mederla, Negro and Manetti follow. During the second lap though, Nigro floors the accelerator and is able to overtake both Mederla and Di Proto, taking his DR kart in the first position once again. Mederla is right behind the leading Italian, while the fight for the third position is strong and powerful. Salenta, Jodvirsis and Zanchetta fight restlessly, while Nigro runs forward with no one at his heels. He is able to win the race without too much of an effort. The Czech Mederla ends up second and is followed by Salenta, third. The second final of Saturday is for the KZ1 drivers, where Benjamin Hanley and Bas Lammers occupy the first positions in the grid and will be ready to resist the attacks from the second row, where De Conto and Kozlinski marshal. Hanley is able to gain full control of the race and is able to limit the aggressiveness of Bas Lammers. Behind them, De Conto and Verstappen are fighting for the third position, but are also able to keep an eye on the leading position head. During the fifth lap, Verstappen CRG overtakes the Italian Paolo De Conto, who is a sitting duck for the attacks of the Dutchman. The trio is able to keep its cool at the end of the race, while De Conto sinks into Beccalis of the competition. Hanley finishes the race in first position, 300 milliseconds before Lammers and almost 500 on unrenewed Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, indeed. The Flying Dutch who is in his last seasons in the kart world. What the contribution of this schooling will be to the Dutchman's driving career is still a mystery. But we asked Jaime Alguersuari, the youngest pilot of contemporary F1, to give us some insights.
I miss karting a lot because I think it's the best training for any motorsport area, whatever you do, GT, F1 or something like that. I think karting is always important because the feedback you have, the feeling, no suspension, no power steering, everything is so direct, being so aggressive. I think it's very, very important for the physical point of view of the driver. And keeps you trained. Racing here is amazing with these guys, you know, full respect for these people and all the manufacturers in Italy. I've been racing in go-kart since a long time, But you know, the fact for me to return here and try to be competitive as these guys, which is quite difficult, makes me feel stronger. As I said, it's a fantastic training session for me, and I'm learning really a lot to be here. So in all ways, I think it's a positive activity for me, and I'm really happy to keep on doing that until obviously I don't get injured. So hopefully everything goes well, and yeah, hopefully I do a lot of time this activity. I am in the Pirelli program, driving the Renault from 2010. I think it's definitely a good basis. We do like 7 to 10 days of testing a year. Every day we do 1,000 kilometers, so it's definitely a good training session for me and learning process of 2014 tires. But the fact also I'm keeping on my racing alive is definitely very crucial for my career, you know, and to do it in here is even better, you know, because I think karting is the best school. I think karting is the best training activity for what you do, for your sport, which is in my case Formula 1, and that's why I decided to take this decision and to keep on doing it. I plan to do at least 5 races of go-karts, whether it's the European and the World Cup, I don't know. But obviously I will take the dates which fits me better. But as I say, you know, for me this is also training activity. Unless I don't get injured, I'm happy to come here and have fun with these guys.
Sunday is a new day, and this new day starts with the Mini 60 pre-final and the Indian Kush Maini in the pole position, flanked by the Spanish Eliseo Martinez. As with every Mini 60 pre-final, these two will see the opponents racing for 6 laps. Kush Maini, Eliseo Martinez, Constantinos, Lorenzo Colombo, Francesco Pagano, the Swedish Lind and the Malaysian Abdul Ghaffar will race till the last drop of their energy. The maximum time between the first and the 8th was less than 1 second at every single time. The true suitors for the first place were Martinez and Baini. It is the Spaniard who will eventually win the race, followed 115 milliseconds away by Maini, behind whom Constantinos darts for the 3rd position. During the first of the 2 pre-finals for the KF Junior, the Russian Schwarzman is able to win, notwithstanding a start from the 2nd line. The race by the Italian Leonardo Pulcini is also worth mentioning. Starting from the pole, he was able to finish in 2nd position after a bloody battle with the Forza Racing team pilot. The German David Beckmann on Zanardi ends up 3rd, before Remigio Garofano and Lorenzo Travisanuto. The former of the two was the protagonist of an astounding comeback, which brought him from the 14th position to the 4th. During the 2nd pre-final, the English Lando Norris and the Italian Alessio Lorandi raced the head-to-head for a victory. The English was the one winning the duel by 7/10 of a second, while the 3rd place was snatched by the Dutch Van Leeuwen, followed closely by Thompson and Aubry. Strangely, some of the protagonists of the KF Junior had only average placements. Daniel Ticknum was 9th, Leonardo Lorandi 10th, Pietro Florescu didn't qualify. The last pre-final was the one where the KF drivers staged a preview of the final, where all of the suitors to the podium and the champion title will compete against each other till they run out of energy. The Croatian Kodric, the French Boccolacci, the Italian Tiene, the Polish Baz, the English Russell and the Spaniard Hiltbrand are all set on victory. At the end of the pre-final, the Danish Nielsen was able to win over the French Boccolacci and the Croatian Kodric. Let us recap the most spectacular images from the second round of this Zuera event before switching to the finals of the third event here in Sarno. Some threatening clouds slowly graze in the sky when the Mini 60 pilots are deployed on the grid. Martinez is starting from the pole, and the thorn in his side is always the same, Kushmaini. Behind them, Konstantinos and Gafar. After 2 void laps and a recall from the Ferrari race director, the final starts. Martinez, Lind and Konstantinos will be glued one to another for all of the 8 laps. The head trio is able to detach from the opponents, where Pagano, Abruzzi, Colombo, Maini and Fusco are leading the rest of the pilots. The harsh confrontation among them, featuring frequent contacts, favors the detaching of the head trio. The last lap is worth recounting, given its amount of technical prowess. Martinez gains the lead right after turn number 3, but Konstantinos is able to overtake him on the straight of the boxes and defends his first position with nails and teeth until the flag, where Konstantinos, Martinez and Lind finished the race 165 milliseconds apart. On the podium, the happiness of Konstantinos is coupled to that of Eliseo Martinez, champion of the series. Tension is thick on the grid of the KF Junior final. Competition is strong. Schwarzman, owner of the pole position, wants the first position, while Norris, on his side, wants to have enough points to be declared champion even before the next event starts. But Lorandi, Pulcini or Thompson are not small fries, and the hopes for a good show are high. When the lights turn black, Schwarzman is the fastest in bringing his Tony Kart in the lead. Behind him, Pulcini, Lorandi, Norris and Bachmann. During the 4th lap, the spectacular overtake by Pulcini allows him to gain the first position. Nothing changes until lap 8, where Lorandi, having passed Schwarzman, successfully attacks Pulcini and takes the lead. Schwarzman is also passed by Norris and ends up in third position, temporarily quenching his thirst for points. But after another lap, Norris attacks Pulcini and gains the second place. Pulcini is also overtaken by Schwarzman, which on a roll overtakes Norris too. Lorandi in the lead is able to withstand the raging attacks by the Russian, being able to finish the race in the first position. Norris, third, is on 7th heaven as his placement is enough to grant him the title as champion of the 2013 Euro Series. Podium is the right crowning for the wonderful performances of the drivers and for the title by Lando Norris. In the meantime, the karts are deployed onto the grid, and the KZ2 pilots are accessing their vehicles.
È stata molto combattuta, fin dall'inizio ero sempre quarto, quinto, poi man mano che andavano i giri seguivo gli altri e passavo, poi verso la fine sono riuscito a passare Pulcini e questo ha creato un po' scompiglio dietro, sono riuscito a prendere quei metri che bastavano per vincere.
Nigro is gonna start from the pole position. Beside him, the Italian Salenta. Behind them, Medela and Zanchetta. When the race starts, Nigro can snatch the first place, while Zanchetta and Salenta follow closely. Behind them, the Czech Medela and the Norwegian Antonsen, the Lithuanian Jodversis and the Italian Di Proto. Second lap, and Zanchetta is a few meters behind Salenta and Nigro. Fourth lap, Zanchetta looks down the scope of his hunting rifle and aims at Salenta, shooting forward and overtaking him during the following lap. Nigro and Zanchetta are now racing themselves to the fastest lap, and Salenta is quickly forgotten in the blazing asphalt. Their head-to-head duel ends up on the finish line when Zanchetta closes the race 55 milliseconds ahead of Nigro. A wonderful challenge which gives back an all-Italian podium.
Direi positivo molto, siamo riusciti a recuperare quello che ci mancava e abbiamo vinto. È stata sudata, però è stata una bella gara. Vorrei ringraziare Maranello, SG Race, Rizzi e tutti coloro che mi hanno supportato. Grazie.
In the meantime, the pilots of the KF are ready for a race so balanced that any kind of forecast was absolutely impossible. Nilsson is in the pole, Boccolacci second, Kodrick and Romanov are in the second lane, and Tiene and Converse occupy the third. The fourth line is taken by Russell and Baz, behind which Stroll and Hiltbrand sit. The French Boccolacci is able to use his quick reflexes to snatch the first position from Nilsson, who is now second. Stroll, Joyner, Baz, Russell and Tiene follow behind. It is immediately clear that Boccolacci has an additional gear in his kart, and he is able to have more than 1 second of advantage on the opponents. The rhythm of his race will not slow down during following laps, such that he is able to get more than a 3 seconds gap during the 5th lap. Behind him, the fight for second and third position rages. Nilsson, Baz, Stroll, Hildebrand, Vigano and Lavelli are all attacking each other in hope of prevailing and win a position on the podium. During the last lap, Baz is able to pass Nishlen, and the Norwegian is further attacked by the back alleys of the head group, which he is nonetheless able to contain. In the end, Boccolacci closes down first, Baz is second and Nielsen is third. On the podium, the happiness of Boccolacci, with his opponent's satisfaction.
Je suis très content de ma course ici. Là, je prends la tête du championnat avec des points d'avance. Et je remercie vraiment Energy Corse, Luigina, Simone, mon mécano, qui sont à fond pour moi. Et mon motoriste GFR, Lotus F1 Team Junior et aussi la FFSA. Merci beaucoup.
The last big Sunday battle of Sarno is about to begin. The first lane has Lammers and Hanley deployed close one to another. The second lane is occupied by an Italian contingent made of the Conto and Ardigo. Verstappen, the closest suitor to the champion title, is in the 8th row. Hanley is capable of surprising Lammers when the race begins, but retaliation by the Dutchman has only to wait for one lap, when Lammers is back into position 1. In the meantime, the Belgian Fanon is able to gain the third position and during the second lap overtakes Hanley, starting his hunt for Lammers' kart. De Conto keeps contact with the heading part of the drivers, but is menaced by the long shadows of Jerry Pax and Marco Ardigo. In the meantime, Verstappen gives up the race and retires. It is kind of evident that the Dutch driver actually dislikes the SARNO truck. The fight for the first position is wild. Lammers, Fanon and De Conto are pretty and aggressive, but the heat of their challenge is somehow quenched when the judges flap the yellow flags. In fact, in the fastest passage of the whole track, the French Kozlinski and Iglesias hit each other and need medical assistance to be moved away from the track. The final is suspended, and when it is resumed in slow mode, the final 4 laps do not see any change in the positions. So the winner ends up being Bas Lammers, followed by Fanon and De Conto.
Well, it is a very special race here because the last 5 laps were finishing in slow pace. First of all, I hope that the 2 drivers who had an accident that they are okay, and I wish them the best of all. I'm really happy about how the race was going because everything went well. The engine was really good, the chassis was fantastic, all the combination was good, so I'm really happy.
At the end of the 3rd round of the WSK Euro Series, the general rankings say that in the Mini 60, Eliseo Martinez is the champion with 150 points. Second place goes to the Indian Kush Maini at 67. Third is the Greek Konstantinos at 60. In the KF Junior, Lando Norris is the champion with 229 points. Second place is occupied by the Italian Alessio Lorandi at 130. Third is the English Daniel Ticktum at 88. In the KF, the French Dorian Boccolacci is first with 161 points, followed by the Polish Karol Baz at 90 and the Danish Nickel Nissel at 37. In KZ2, Zanchetta is leading with 202 points, followed by Nigro at 169 and by Jan Midderla at 115. Lastly, KZ1's first position in the ranking is still occupied by the Dutch Max Verstappen with 180 points, and behind him Hanley at 120 and De Conto at 73. The last round of the Euro Series 2013 will be in Belgium, on the Genk track on the 2nd of June.